Jesus walked on water, but Sisqó walked on. That's blasphemous and true.
People do things on camera because they're comfortable doing them. If they're uncomfortable doing them, they shouldn't be doing them. It's just that simple. That's when problems happen. Problems and cases and situations and all this inappropriate because you weren't comfortable doing it anyway, but you did it. And now you want to come back and say, I was so the whole time, I couldn't believe it.
So the Thong Song is going crazy. It's like killing the airwaves. And then, you know, we get that call from our lawyer, like, have a seat. If you're standing up, you might want to take a seat. You know, that's when all the drama started.
Sisqó's story stands as one of the most unexpected turns in modern R&B, as he moved from lighting up the charts with Dru Hill to becoming a worldwide sensation with Thong Song, only to fade from the spotlight almost as quickly as he arrived. And for years, fans kept asking how an artist with so much talent, so much energy, and such strong star power could suddenly be pushed to the side, while the deeper you look, the more surprising the truth becomes, because behind the bright performances and platinum success, he was dealing with struggles that most people never saw, including conflicts with record label executives who did not support his decision to stick with his own Baltimore team, disagreements over royalties that cut into the success of his biggest hit, constant rumors about his personal life that spread even faster than his music, and pressure from powerful figures in the industry who, according to him, turned against him when he refused to follow certain unwritten rules. And while the public praised his voice and unique style, the industry quietly began to label him as difficult, which led to projects being delayed, invitations slowing down, and collaborations disappearing, as the same system that once lifted him up slowly began to shut him out. But before things started falling apart, everything had been going in the right direction, because long before the fame, he was Mark Andrews from Baltimore, a young man with an incredible voice working at the Fudgery and singing for tips alongside a group of friends who called themselves Dru Hill. And that group had real chemistry, strong discipline, and a level of hunger that made them stand out, where their harmonies were polished, their performances were sharp, and their determination to rise beyond Baltimore was stronger than any obstacle in their way.
Now, like I said, Sisqó is a member of Dru Hill. Dru Hill was signed when they was really young. They did extremely exceptional. They're an awesome group. And everything about what they did in the 90s and the 2000s was crazy amazing. Now, people got to understand that in the 90s, Sisqó wanted to sound like he wanted to sing like Dru Hill. Woody, put it like this: Sisqó liked Boys to Men. I'm sorry, and Woody liked Jodeci. So Woody said that him and Sisqó exchanged tapes, and Sisqó just fell in love with KC. And from there, they formed a group. Like I said, long story short, it's a long story, y'all. But they formed a group and they were signed young and they had a bad deal, and the group broke up, and so the group broke up on the Will Smith Wild Wild West video shoot. That's why you see Woody and then you don't see Woody anymore. Now, Woody came back to the group for the second album, and he brought in a friend that they were cool with. Yeah, right. Yeah. So they brought a friend, he brought a friend that they were cool with growing up, and he was a part of the group too. His name was Scola. So the third album, they had 5 members in the group. So after that, they had another album to come out again, and they had a new member named Teo. Now, Teo is an amazing singer. Amazing. I mean, this guy is exceptional. Like, he's an amazing singer. And they did an album with him. And after Teo left, then because Jazz left first, then Teo left, then Nokia left, and that made them become a new group with Smoke and Black from Player. Cheers to You, if y'all remember Player. Now they did a nice little run as Dru Hill, but they now has changed their name to Smoke.
Not long after that, Dru Hill secured a deal with Island Black Music, and their rise in the mid-1990s happened fast as tracks like Tell Me and In My Bed and How Deep Is Your Love pushed them into stardom. With Sisqó clearly stepping forward as the frontman known for his energetic vocals and natural stage presence, carrying a voice that felt both strong and emotional with the kind of intensity that showed he was determined to succeed. But while the group was climbing the charts, something else was quietly building behind the scenes, because his desire for independence was already becoming clear as he pushed for more control and wanted to bring in his own Baltimore team for production, choreography, and overall creative direction. While record labels tend to rely on their own established systems and trusted teams, and that early clash of ideas planted the first signs of the challenges that would come later. And by the time he stepped out on his own in 1999 with the release of Unleash the Dragon, he felt unstoppable, as Thong Song exploded into a global hit and became a cultural moment far bigger than anyone expected, while Incomplete showed the world that he was not just an entertainer, but a singer with real emotional range. Yet at the same time that this success brought him worldwide fame, it also pulled him deeper into the harsh realities of the music business in a way that would eventually reshape the direction of his entire career.
For the song, Sisqó was more so the bridge and the ad libs, you know, because if you listen to the music in the first album or so, you hear more of Sisqó on the chorus and on the bridge. And Jazz and Woody are leading majority of the songs. But the singles that come out is because Sisqó had the body, he had everything. Like people don't understand, like when they did their first Woody was telling me when they did Tell Me, the video for Tell Me. That was the first video they did. And he was telling me that Sisqó didn't want to do that. He didn't want to sing it, he didn't want to do their certain songs, he didn't want to sing certain songs he didn't want to do. So what happened is Sisqó basically rebelled on what they wanted because he didn't there's certain stuff that he didn't like. You gotta think about it. They 16, 17 years old at the time. So Sisqó went and dyed his hair to make them mad. And it ended up helping. It ended up making him bigger than ever. Like he did that out of being rebellious. And I hope I'm saying it right. If anybody think it's different, y'all tell me if y'all heard another situation. I want to hear everybody comments. So even when somebody's sleeping in my bed, Sisqó didn't want to sing that song. Sisqó said that why would I sing a song about another guy sleeping with my woman in my bed? So he sung the song wrong. He sung it crazy hard. So they would say, we're not putting this out. But come to find out, they loved it. They loved how hard he sung this song. There was like the emotion in that song, and that album ended up becoming the song of the album. Tell Me was basically next level because of the dance movement. And everybody still do that to this day because they wanted them to move like a choir, like back to back. So Sisqó was like, no, we just gonna feel like Sisqó, it was like we just gonna jump it up. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna move like the choir, but we're gonna jump it up. Sure. So that's how that became so famous. But over half of the stuff, like a lot of the stuff that Sisqó didn't even want to do. You know, and that's my understanding from listening to people, listening to interviews with Sisqó, him saying this stuff himself. He said, why would I sing about a song about a guy sleeping in the bed? I mean, my girl cheating on me and the guy in my bed. So that's when you see the video, you see them singing the song, and at the end, his girl was sleeping with another girl. It wasn't the guy. That's why they did the video like that. Like it's like knowing this stuff and listening and seeing the videos and interviews. Like that's really that's somebody changing the game. You know what I'm saying? Like You got Dru Hill, you got Jagged Edge, you got 112, which probably was the biggest groups around that time.
The biggest hit of his career, Thong Song, also marked the start of one of his most difficult public battles, because the hook included a reference to the phrase "Livin' La Vida Loca," which was tied to songwriter Desmond Child, and that brief line ended up leading to a major lawsuit where the court ruled in Desmond Child's favor, forcing a significant share of the royalties to be redirected away from Sisqó, turning what should have been a strong financial foundation into a serious setback, as money that could have supported future albums, tours, and long-term plans was suddenly divided. And to make things worse, industry executives began to see the situation as a sign of instability, causing investors to grow cautious, labels to become uncertain, and potential collaborators to hesitate. So a song that should have built his empire slowly began to weaken it, because for any artist, royalties are a lifeline, and losing them means losing leverage, losing influence, and losing influence often results in losing protection. And Sisqó has explained that this lawsuit became one of the key moments that changed how the industry looked at him, since the business respects money and momentum, and anything that disrupts that can quickly create risk for the artist. And another major theme in his story is loyalty, as he consistently pushed to work with people from Baltimore, choosing local producers, stylists, dancers, and writers, because he wanted to share his success instead of keeping it limited to the label's usual circle, describing his mindset as something close to a Robin Hood approach, where he aimed to lift his own community rather than follow the industry's standard path. But major labels were not built to operate that way, as they preferred their own trusted networks filled with people who followed the rules, stayed quiet, kept things smooth, and understood the unspoken politics behind the scenes. So when an artist insisted on bringing in outsiders, it disrupted that balance, leading executives to label Sisqó as difficult and rebellious while claiming he refused to follow the expected program. And according to him, this unwillingness to bend and comply with certain expectations directly led to him being quietly pushed aside, with meetings slowing down, budgets being reduced, promotion weakening, and his public image gradually shifting into something he could no longer control. Because in the music business, image is important, but behind that image, compliance often matters even more.
It's so great to see y'all here today. Hi, Sisqó. Hi, everybody. It's really nice to be amongst such greatness here, celebrating hip hop, but also honoring Mr. Cohen. What does that feel like tonight?
Being even asked to be a part of honoring Lyor Cohen was a no-brainer for us. He's had such an impact on the music industry, and as well as even YouTube now. I believe he's running YouTube for the world. And if you just look around, man, it's like what Smoke was saying earlier. Uh, it's almost like the hip hop version of like Motown, because you got like all of these, legendary artists. And Lyor was, the visionary that saw, what was in each of us. And individually, if you notice, everybody's like completely different. So he's definitely not a one-trick pony. It's awesome to be here.
Sisqó has openly said that one of the biggest fractures in his career came from a direct clash with Lyor Cohen, one of the most powerful figures in the music industry at the time, who was known for being sharp, highly strategic, and completely focused on results and profit. And many artists have described him as someone you simply do not cross. But Sisqó claimed that he lost his temper and spoke harshly to him, and that single moment, in his view, ended up sealing his fate, because from his perspective, that confrontation led to a quiet form of punishment where opportunities slowly disappeared, calls stopped getting answered, and he began to feel like he was being erased from the space he once dominated. While over the years, several artists have talked about how the industry has the ability to quietly blacklist someone without ever making it public. And according to Sisqó, this is exactly what happened to him, as his independence, his resistance, and his refusal to follow certain expectations turned him into a target. And in a business where real power often operates behind closed doors, it can take just one executive decision to turn someone from a rising star into someone who is suddenly invisible.
What inspired you to do the platinum do, especially being a male?
To be funny, I mean, not to be funny. It wasn't funny. When I chose to dye my hair blonde is because I got my heart broken. And when I was dating a 10th grader when I was a 9th grader. and
deal then.
she broke my heart, and I didn't want to I wanted to just kind of be somebody else. So I saw the Big Papa video, and I saw Diddy baby mother.
Yeah. Misa Hill and Brim.
Misa, right?
Misa Hill
Yeah,
and Brim.
she actually styled us in the Big Bad Mama video with Foxy Brown. And
Wow.
yeah, that's kind of ironic. It kind of went full circle.
She had
Wow.
And her hair she was actually like, she did like the kind of platinum blonde thing, and I was just like, that.
Done.
Wow.
And it's funny because it's like now, like Chris Brown does his hair blonde, and some like younger people like think like he was the first one that did
But it was you.
No, it's all good because I met Chris Brown, and right before when he first came out, and he told me he looked up to me, which was ironic because I'm 5'6", he like 6.
Another struggle Sisqó dealt with throughout his career was how his image was constantly judged and reinterpreted, because from his platinum blonde hair to his bold stage outfits, he chose to express himself in a confident and unique way. And while fans saw him as stylish and original, the industry often viewed his image as something they needed to shape and control, and he once shared a story about an executive who demanded that he dye his blonde hair black for a video shoot so he could fit a safer and more predictable R&B look. And although he agreed at first, he later went behind the scenes and dyed his hair blonde again in the middle of filming because he refused to let anyone take away the visual identity that made him stand out. But that act of defiance only added more fuel to the ongoing rumors about his personal life, as tabloids and television hosts spent years speculating, with some pointing to his fashion choices and others using clips from reality shows to support their claims, while Sisqó consistently denied those rumors, saying he understood the jokes but made it clear they were not true. Yet once a rumor becomes useful, it often becomes part of an artist's public image, turning into a quiet pressure point that can be used to distract or embarrass. And the entertainment industry has a long history of using headlines about personal identity to control or discredit artists, and even though Sisqó has said he grew tired of the jokes and the labels attached to his name, the whispers around him never fully disappeared.
Killing this era, like, they applauded Frank Ocean for coming out. Sisqó had to hide it.
Is Sisqó gay?
Rory.
What? I thought he came out, no?
First of all,
he has a belly button tattoo.
Thinking somebody came out is just hilarious. Like, you can't think. You have to know for sure if somebody has announced that they are.
Okay. Well, if he hasn't and is not, in fact, that it's not my business.
So you just open the closet door.
I'm the first one that thought Sisqó was gay.
No, not thought it, but you said like he came out. I don't know if.
I thought he did.
I don't know. Maybe he did. I don't know.
He did not.
Okay, well, he did not.
He was wearing a thong in the Thong Song. He was the only one in the video with a thong on.
He says that he's not.
That's what he said?
But he's from that old school era where you have to, like, deny it.
Sisqó's career was not only affected by label politics, as personal controversies also began to make headlines, including a public child support dispute, a lawsuit from a former collaborator, a legal case involving a woman who claims she met him while he was on tour, and even an arrest tied to an argument with a neighbor, along with rumors of backstage fights and stories that painted him as having a difficult attitude. And while some of these incidents were likely exaggerated, others misunderstood, and some simply part of the normal chaos that often surrounds celebrity life, in the entertainment world perception carries enormous weight. So once the public starts to view someone as unpredictable or surrounded by drama, the industry quickly begins to label them as high risk. And with each new headline, another piece of his clean image was chipped away, making it easier for executives to slowly distance themselves and justify pulling back from supporting him.
When people think about fighting, they don't think about Sisqó and whatnot. So you could have lost, and then people were like, "No, he's doing hitting Sisqó."
It wasn't a fight though. It wasn't a fight.
What was that? What is it called?
Skirmish.
A scuffle.
A scuffle. I guess.
What was the problem?
I don't know, dude.
What did he say to you?
I was talking to Wingo. Wingo and I was hanging out because he knows a friend of mine from my female group. I went to my room. My room was locked. He was like, "Yo, you could use our bathroom." And I had already used their room earlier because the steps was right here and their room was right here. Our room was further down at the end of the hall. So we went in there and Kyle was in there. Was like, "Oh, you ain't gonna bring up that Breakfast Club stuff again." I'm like, "Dude, ain't nobody think about that." Because after whatever he said on the Breakfast Club, he actually, like I came up and apologized.
What did he say on the Breakfast Club?
Somebody told me to shut up. Something I don't know. That never happened. So he was like, man, you know, no beef or whatever. So I went to the bathroom, and when I came back out,
You should have stayed in his bathroom and left the door open. Real
real
weird.
that serious. That's what I'm trying to say. And I can't remember what he said actually, but when you look at the video, it looked like he was blocking the door. So I don't know. Like I said, I was off work, so we all was partying, and I don't know what he said. He might have said something that made me feel a certain way or whatever. And man, we just got to tussling, and that's something. I mean, you from the inner city, dude. You know, you tell a couple lies Friday, and somebody say something left. Y'all end up scuffling after the fight. You know, you end up being better friends than you was when it started. And we literally spoke right after that.
Really?
So,
What'd you say?
nothing.
Hey, I ain't gonna say nothing if you ain't gonna say nothing.
No, it was more like I said, at the end of the skirmish, I think we walked away with more respect for each other than we had before. And that's just what happened in the inner city. I'm from Baltimore, dude. So it's like
You used to shooting it.
fighting. I don't have that gun charge no more. But
Beat that. Beat that.
The bigger issue came down to timing because these controversies surfaced right after his peak, at the exact moment when he should have been getting maximum support from labels, promoters, and the media, but instead they began to see risk, and in the music business, risk quickly turns into cost, and labels do not like anything that feels expensive, so after Unleash the Dragon, his next projects did not receive the same level of backing, promotion started to fade, radio play slowed down, music videos were given smaller budgets, and marketing efforts became weaker, while even attempts to reunite with Dru Hill struggled due to confusion over members leaving and returning and disagreements about the group's direction. And at the same time, the audience had started shifting its attention toward newer R&B artists. So with the growing drama around Sisqó and the constant press coverage, mainstream media gave less focus to anything he released, which led to declining tour sales, new singles barely making an impact on the charts, albums being delayed, and projects getting shelved. And instead of experiencing a strong comeback, he found himself fighting for a level of visibility that once came naturally. And Sisqó has said that this was the point where he truly began to feel what it meant to be pushed out and boxed in by the industry.
Will Smith featuring Dru Hill. But when we got there, it seemed like it was all in the cards for it to be Will Smith featuring Sisqó. Once again, you back to just being here just for the sake of being here. And that was basically my departure.
He just dropped a bomb on us and it was like, today? I mean, everybody's jaw just hit the floor.
We're at the top of our game. We got money in the bank. We got chart-topping singles. We just came off tour. It was traumatizing.
After that, Dru Hill carried on, touring as a trio. It didn't work.
The crowd started dwindling. As many people weren't coming to see Dru Hill perform. I think it was a direct cause and effect of what happened with Woody.
It was just not the same. I mean, for a 4-part harmony, you need 4 members.
So after that, I came to the label and I was like, we're trying to jam this new version of Dru Hill down their throat. And we got this kind of open window. I want to do a solo album.
One of the most controversial subjects connected to Sisqó involves the idea of hidden industry systems that place pressure on artists behind the scenes, claims that have been discussed by multiple artists across different eras, with some describing situations where powerful figures expect loyalty in uncomfortable ways, and others referring to private gatherings that are said to be used as tools for influence or leverage. While Sisqó himself never gave detailed accounts of such events, he did use indirect language about refusing to sell his soul and suggested that he faced consequences for not aligning with certain expectations, and the commentary around his statements often points to an environment where artists may be invited into compromising situations and refusal could potentially lead to lost opportunities or being gradually pushed out. Although none of these claims have ever been verified, they are still part of a broader narrative that has been discussed in the industry for decades, and whether they are true or not, this theme has strongly influenced how some people interpret his career decline and public downfall.
So I have to put Sisqó in the realm of that because Sisqó did something that was different with his first album that hadn't been done in a long time. Like it's been done before, but it hadn't been done in a long time. And I'm going to get to it right now. Singing and rapping. That's pretty much what everybody do right now. Hip hop, R&B, everybody. Now, the first time I heard singing and rapping, I forget the lady's name. I hate I forget her name because she deserved her respect. She was doing it in the 80s, the white lady. I forget her name, but she was well known in the black community as far as R&B and pop. Why I can't remember her name. But she was one of the first people I heard singing and rapping outside of gospel music in the quartet era of the early 1900s. Because when you had quartet music and gospel, they was like this. You know what I'm saying? So they're pretty much singing and rapping at the same time.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna bring it all the way down to the late 80s, early 90s. The person that was singing and rapping that did it and changed the game, and that was Bobby Brown. Now, that's why they say Bobby Brown is the king of R&B. What he did with the New Jack Swing, which his first album, some of those songs was wrote by Babyface. And a lot of people don't know that, understand it, that he was with Babyface first, and then that's when he went to gosh, how I forget his name? Blackstreet. Gosh, the producer Blackstreet, he had the verses with him and Babyface. Teddy Riley.
Yeah, she tell
Okay. Teddy Riley. See, so Babyface was like, he even said on the verses, he was like, when Bobby Brown went to you, he was like, man, and I heard your music. He was like, man, I wanted to sound like that. You know what I'm saying? When you brought your music in. So you got Bobby Brown, to me, quite possibly the king of R&B, because he changed the R&B sound from being a group type thing, like New Edition, like Temptations, like, you know what I'm saying? Smokey Robinson, solo artist, Sam Cooke, solo artist. Well, we had this group, he had this gospel group though, but they doing solo music, but it's just straight love. Like he brought the hip hop.
By the late 2000s and early 2010s, Sisqó's mainstream presence had almost completely faded, even though he was still releasing music, still touring, and still performing. But the big promotional pushes, major media appearances, award show invitations, high-level collaborations, and major industry opportunities had largely disappeared. And Sisqó has claimed that he was blackballed, saying that the industry expected him to follow certain rules he was not willing to follow, and that when he refused, doors simply stopped opening for him, while from the outside the pattern appears consistent with a mix of lawsuits, reputation issues, conflicts with powerful executives, resistance to image control, personal scandals, rumors, label disputes, and financial setbacks, all combining into a kind of perfect storm that can bring a mainstream career to a halt. And in his case, that storm hit especially hard, but despite everything, Sisqó kept moving forward as he continued performing with Dru Hill, appeared on reality shows such as Celebrity Big Brother and Celebrity Wife Swap, built a personal life by marrying his longtime partner Elizabeth, even joking in 2018 about performing Thong Song at his own wedding, and also explored different business ventures, including a clothing line and children's books.
I think Sisqó is he's been very underrated, man, for whatever reason. And I think that he definitely need to get his flowers, man. I'm interested to see where he's at now, what he got going on, and yeah, that's all I got.
I got you. So we got on the term of Dru Hill and how Dru Hill came about, how Woody came up with he had to came up with the idea, and Sisqó became part of the group, and the group got started pretty much, and all that stuff. Like what kind of difference you think Dru Hill made in the 90s as far as music? I'm gonna ask Hater that. Like, Hater, what do you think that Sisqó made like the Dru Hill? What kind of message did they leave like in the 90s music, man?
Well, in my opinion, it was just added on to many of the groups that we have had before them, and they kind of like symbolize the dying, like the last breed of the R&B group. You know what I'm saying? So like for today, I can't name a R&B group. You know, so they kind of like the last of the breed of those individuals willing to be in groups. And I think so, yeah, you know, because like so now all individual solo artists, so forth and so on. So that's what they kind of symbolize to me.
Okay, Raymond, I got that question for you too, man. Like, as far as what they did in the '90s, man, what do you see? Like, what kind of image you think they had, and what you think that they'll leave on, like, the future of music and R&B?
I mean, really, when I think of going through here, man, I think of man, me growing up in the '90s, man, and they taught us how to love. They taught us to make love. They taught us how to love, and in that time in our culture, that was really like, man, the place in time, man, where like they was coming behind Jodeci and behind like Boys and Men, groups like that, man. I think they added on to the nuance of love that we had in the '90s, man. So they I mean, they left a big mark. They got so many different hits, man. I put them up against any great, man. Like coming behind Truth, coming behind Jodeci, coming behind Boys and Men, all those groups, man. They really kind of carried on the legacy of Love Me, man, in the '90s.
I got you. And I know y'all just getting on, but me and Charles were talking, and we got on the topic of rapping and singing because I know it was a lot of people to do it before Sisqó. You know, like you got the like I told him I can't remember the lady name that was doing it in the '80s. Hey, what's that? You know the lady name that was rapping and singing in the '80s? I think it was I think she was a white lady.
Tina Marie did it, and
Tina Marie did
I think
it for sure.
Tina Marie, I think Millie Jackson. You know, there's a few people doing it.
Okay, that's what it was. Millie Jackson. Okay.
Also,
now,
if you don't mind, let me add something, right?
Okay.
So check this out. You know, it sounds conspiracy theorist like. However, in my opinion, with rap music and all this music being influential, I think the reason we do not have groups is not necessarily by mistake. I like to think that the people who put the money behind people we see on TV and on the radio, they push individualism, and they push all these solo people because a lot of the solo people, you know, they more about me, and I think that they would like our people to be about the mentality of me, because if we were all self-absorbed in our own selves and not about love and family, then we are divided. And when you are divided, you can be conquered even more than we already are. I'm done with that.
He may not have the mainstream backing he once had, but he has something many artists never achieve, which is longevity, a loyal fan base, a legacy rooted in late 1990s and early 2000s R&B history, and a catalog that still lights up dance floors more than 20 years later. And his story is painful but also inspiring because it is a reminder that fame is fragile, that power in the industry can shift in an instant, and that even the brightest stars can be dimmed when they refuse to follow silent rules. But it is also a reminder that artists do not always disappear because they lose talent. Sometimes they fade because they refuse to bend, and Sisqó's journey becomes a cautionary tale about creativity, control, rebellion, image, and the unseen forces that shape music careers, showing the story of a young man who electrified the world and then paid a heavy price for insisting on doing things his own way. A story of talent clashing with power, and even if it did not end in the way many expected, it is also a story of survival, endurance, and the ability to rebuild life after the industry moves on. As fans still argue that Sisqó never received the respect he deserved, with many believing he influenced an entire generation of performers and others insisting he could have become one of the biggest R&B stars of all time if the business side had fully supported him instead of working against him. But whatever interpretation people hold, one thing remains clear: Sisqó's career will always be remembered not only for his rise, but also for everything that happened behind the scenes. And as for the bigger question of whether his path was shaped by a mix of timing, personal choices, and industry politics, that is something the audience continues to debate. And if you like this story, make sure to subscribe so you do not miss future videos. And until then, stay real.